Allah tells us, try your best, make your intentions, put it in your lifestyle, in the lifestyle of our children and our children's children, that when they leave this world, they will leave as Muslims. And no doubt, there is an international movement to take us away from Islam, to take Islam out of the narrative, so people do not think about Islam. They look at Islam as an ancient religion, but nothing to do with the present day world that we are living in. And we could say that the Muslim world, the ones who are holding Islam in their chests, we are holding this Quran, we are at a crossroad. In one direction is imminent destruction. It is well orchestrated destruction of this Ummah in every single level. But on the other road, there is amazing potential. There is great hope for this nation. In terms of the orchestrated destruction, we are witnessing now murder and genocide, man-made expulsion on a level that we have never seen before. Not that it didn't happen, but we are witnessing it. We are seeing it, hearing it. And the situation in Gaza and Palestine is reaching critical proportion. Polio is now in the polluted water. And so we should never forget for a moment what is happening in Gaza, what is happening in Palestine. It is the tip of the spear that is striking into the body of Islam. And we should also not forget that there is an orchestrated plan to develop failed states, where you have a state with leadership and people, but there is so much confusion that the state cannot do what it's supposed to do. We look at Syria, the great Syrian people. We look at Libya. We look at Sudan. Look at the condition in Pakistan itself. Look at what happened to the great Somali people, the great Muslim leaders that came out of East Africa, now trying to spread confusion in Bangladesh. It is an orchestrated plan. It is not by chance. It is by design. And we should recognize that Allah did not leave us alone. That along with this apparent destruction, there is great potential. We are growing and growing and growing. All of our masjids, all of our communities, we are expanding even here to the point where this space cannot hold us anymore. We have over 26% of the Earth's population. We have some of the richest families on earth. Our countries lie in strategic positions. Our age, we are mostly young people. 60% of Muslims are under 30 years old. Our sources, the Quran, the Sunnah, we still have it in authentic form. No other religion has something like this. And so the great potential is there. We are at a crossroads. Allah revealed to us in His book as we cry for this change. Inna Allah la yughayyiru ma biqawmin hatta yughayyiru ma bi anfusihim. Allah will not change the condition of a people until they change that which is in themselves. An internal change has to come about. The very concept that we have, who we are, we need a great reset. Reset ourselves. The whole concept of being Muslim is being Muslim just that we will drink our tea and we will have halal food? Is it being Muslim that we will wear a topi or we will wear certain clothes? What is it? A great reset is needed. So the masses of people that we have will change from being ghutha, a sail, foam on the water, great in number but no roots, to a dynamic ummah. How can we come about? We need some practical suggestions. And I want to present to you, on our level, we are not politicians, we are not controlling countries, but we can control ourselves. And you will see that the Prophet ﷺ and his companions, they were not large in number. They did not have weapons of mass destruction. They did not have mass communications, but they changed the world. The Great Reset. Number one, we need to seek nearness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That we need to be sincere to Allah before we are sincere to our ideology, to our leaders, to our ethnic group. Every individual, the basis of why we do things should be to please Allah Azza wa Jal. One of the great scholars of Islam, Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah, in his last advice, he talked about a mental disease. It is called hizbiyah. Hizbiyah. A hizb is a group. Organizational fanaticism. He said, beware of organizational fanaticism. That we could have a mass of Muslims, but if we are organizations fighting against each other, not respecting each other, then we are a group of weak people and no longer an ummah. Organizations are necessary, but the organization is part of the body of Islam, like the hand and the head and the leg. If the head thinks it's the only part of the body, then it's useless. If the foot thinks that it is the only part of the body, it is useless. But when it all comes together, there is a human being. Number two, in the Great Reset, we need to return to authentic sources. To learn Arabic as much as we can, to go to authentic sources as the basis of our faith. The Prophet ﷺ said very clearly, "Taraktukum alal mahajjat al-bayda, layluha kan-nahariha, la yazighu ba'di anha illa halik." I have left you on a clear path. Its night is like its day. And the only one who will go away from this path is the one who is about to be destroyed. La yazighu anha illa halik. It is clear. And with the death of the Prophet ﷺ and the Quran being complete, Allah completed the religion. But today, within our ummah, there are Muslims who are doing strange things. And so we need to return to the authentic sources, but it needs to have inclusion. All of the great imams, not one imam over another imam, one school of thought over another, all of us together as a jama'ah. Number three, we need to focus on character, not just rituals. For a long time, we focused on ibadat, the rituals of Islam, and this is important. Your basis of your faith is your worship. But your ibadah is supposed to lead you to something. Salat is supposed to make you a person of salat. Allah told us, Inna salata tanha anil fashai wal munkar. Prayer will prohibit you from evil and corruption. Fasting is not just to starve your body. Allah said, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. Fasting is to gain taqwa. It's to gain the consciousness of Allah. Character. I'm a Muslim. What does it mean? I drink my coffee, I drink my tea, I have my special halal food, I make prayer, and then I tell a lie? That's not a Muslim. It's the complete character. The Prophet ﷺ said very clearly in the Muwatta of Imam Malik, "Bu'ithtu li'utammima husnul akhlaq." Verily, I have been sent in order to complete the best in character. That's the reason why he was sent. So in the Great Reset, our children need to focus on character. Being a Muslim means how we interact with each other, how we interact with society. Number 4, building and protecting healthy, empowered families. Our focus needs to be on families with an emphasis on the women of Islam. If the women of Islam are strong, if our families are strong, then the basis of the structure is sound. If we're weak, if the women of Islam are weak and they spend their time fighting against their husband, then we become useless. Healthy, empowered families. That means the food that we eat can be halal, but it needs to be halalan tayyiba. It needs to be permissible but nourishing food. It needs to be good food. Number 5, a special emphasis on the youth, on young people. The majority of Muslims right now are young people. What are the programs that we have for young people? Are we taking the advice from young people? Are they involved? They will be the leaders of the future. They are the strength of this ummah. And so our emphasis in the reset has to be like, this is a nation of young people, young leaders, young responsibilities. Number 6, shura, mutual consultation. We need to communicate. One of our big problems is we don't communicate with each other. Husband and wife talk to each other. Parents and children talk to each other. Leaders in the community talk to the Jamaat. The masjids, the centers need to have a majlis al-shura. There has to be a place where all of our leaders come together and make a decision. Number 7, empower new Muslims. There are people coming into Islam. There are people interested in Islam, and they need to be empowered because this is the new blood. We need a reset. We need a transfusion of blood. Because with millions of people, and our children are crying, our families in Palestine are crying, where are the Muslims? There should be millions of Muslims lined up to go inside of Philistine. So we need a transfusion of blood inside of our bodies. Number 8, we need to confront the demon of racism and tribalism. Tribalism, looking at Muslims only with nationality, only with race. Every one of the Muslims in this room, this is your brother, this is your sister, regardless of the language that they speak. When that happens, we become an ummah. We become internationally strong. Number 9, operational unity. Not just unity It's not just unite to unite. Operational unity, that means we know the strength and the weakness of each other. Amongst the companions of the Prophet ﷺ, when they would line up, for instance, Khalid ibn al-Walid, the sword of Allah, strong. But when it's time to lead salat, they look for somebody else. He accepted Islam late. So they look for Abdallah ibn Mas'ud. Ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anh is a short Yemeni man. He's the master of the Quran. And so he leads the salat, and Khalid, the giant warrior, prays behind Ibn Mas'ud. That's operational unity, you see? But when the enemies of Allah came on the scene, everybody said, where is Khalid? Put him in the front. Now Khalid will shine. Number 10, and that is that our Islam needs to provide solutions for the real problem of society. We have to take Islam out of these buildings. It has to become part of the discourse. Young people, meetings are going to be happening with the students. Meetings are going to be happening with the youth. Islam has to be part of the discourse of this world. What is Islamic position on the genocide in Palestine? What is the Islamic position on the environmental crisis? What is the Islamic position on inequality of wealth in this world? What is the Islamic position on racism? What is the Islamic position on the oppression of women? What is the Islamic position on the proper use of technology? How can we use technology? What is the Islamic position on this? What is our position on power? But this reset is not going to be easy. It's going to make us seem strange. You want to practice Islam, and you go to the bank, and the bank teller says, Mr. Abdul, do you want interest? And he said, no. So she said, you are strange. Summertime comes in Canada. People take off their clothes, but Muslims put on clothes. They say, you people are strange. But I give you glad tidings that the Prophet ﷺ said, Inna al-Islam bada'a ghariban wa sayaudu ghariban fatuba lil-ghuraba. And they said, qalu wa mal ghuraba? Wa qala sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, alladhina yuslihuna inda fasad an-nas. The Prophet, peace be upon him, said, verily Islam began strange, and it will return to being strange. So glad tidings to the strangers. And they said, O Messenger of Allah, who are the strangers? And he said, it is the people who repair themselves. They repair society when the people have become corrupted. And Sadaqa Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, it is the time for the ghuraba. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enable us and our children to be of the ghuraba. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala clear our hearts of any tribalism, nationalism, hatred. May Allah clear us of any evil thoughts. May Allah unite us into a strong body in our communities, with our families, with our children, and ultimately with our nations. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala take the children in Palestine and all those who are suffering in the Sudan. May Allah enter them into the highest part of Jannatul Firdaus. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect the dignity of the women in this ummah. And may Allah raise up, and I will constantly say it, may Allah raise up leadership amongst our men who are unafraid, who will pay the price at any cost in order to establish kalima la ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Aqulu qawli hadha wa astaghfirullah li wa lakum wa li sa'ili muslimina min kulli dhanbin istaghfiru innahu huwa ghafurur rahim.